to my YouTube channel. Today we're filming our January wrap-up. So we're gonna go through the books I read in January and we're gonna talk about them a little bit and we're gonna wrap it up. We're gonna wrap up our month. I am kind of trying to not have my light show in my glasses because, okay, this is actually good. Is it too dark? Okay. See, my camera setup is not all that yet. We're still working on it, but I think this is fine. Does it look super? I don't know. Okay, we're just gonna deal with it. So this month I read 10 books this month. 3 of those 10 books were audiobooks. 1 book was a buddy read that we started I think in December, and the other books were all physical books except 1 or 2, except 2. So let's get into it. So first are audiobooks. I'm just gonna kind of sprint through them because they were audiobooks. So the first audiobook I listened to is Can't Hurt Me by David Goggins. And what I loved about this audiobook is, for one, of course, his story is so interesting and like has so many layers to it, but also like the way the audiobook is set up is there's like little pieces of like podcast kind of sequences. So there's like little sequences where the narrator talks to the author, David Goggins, about what just happened in the book, and it was so interesting to have like David Goggins' life reaction to what you just heard or read. It was also my first like actual audiobook that I really wanted to get into, and it was really good, like considering I don't usually listen to audiobooks. I think it was also because there was kind of a podcast side to it because I'm obsessed with podcasts. So I think that made it more appealing to me, in all honesty. Also, I don't rate nonfiction because I don't know what to rate them on. Some nonfictions I learned something from, and some of them are a waste of my time. Can't Hurt Me, I definitely learned a lot from, especially like as an athlete. I am aware I do not have to like do the obsessive and insane things he did, but sometimes perseverance, it helps, it helps. Then another audiobook I listened to was iGen by John M. Twenge. I don't know how to pronounce her name. But in general, the book was good. But there were some things she said that I just didn't really fully agree to, and that had me kind of iffy on what she was saying. So that was a little bit annoying, but other than that, I really liked the book. She kind of liked to generalize a lot of the things, which I'm not a big fan of. I'm not a big fan of just like generalizing everyone, because especially when you're talking like about a generations, there's so many different layers to each generation, and there's so many different characteristics of each generation, which kind of made me fall a little bit out of sync with the book. But in general, a good book. It kind of made me think, especially like about how much I use social media and stuff like that. So that was definitely a thumbs up from me. Would I listen to it again? Never. I don't think so. I honestly don't think so. So yeah. The third audiobook I listened to was Outliers by Malcolm Gladwell. And I enjoyed it so much. I also have another book by him on my TBR that I want to get to, and I just liked the way he kind of depicted the whole concept of an outlier, and the way he kind of explained the whole concept to me, or to the reader. And again, very thought-provoking. It made me kind of think about many things, like many kind of ways my mind likes to go in certain situations. Like you try to justify something due to like talent, or like, I don't know, chances, or like luck. And sometimes it's just like life just deals you a set of cards and you have to roll with it. And I feel like that really sunk in with me while reading or listening to Outliers. So that one is also, I definitely recommend that one again to pretty much anyone. Then let's go to my last nonfiction for the month, and that was Conversations on Love by Natasha Lon. And I love this one so much. I would recommend this to literally any girl, like all the girlies that are going into your 20s. This book is really good. Like, enjoyed it so much. And basically it just depicts like different kinds of relationships. So your romantic relationships, your friendships, your relationship with your parents, with your kids. I don't have kids, but like, I don't know, with your future kids. Then it also depicts like giving birth, but also like death, like, you know, grief, dealing with grief, how your friendships change over like the evolution of time, during the span of time. And I really enjoyed that. It was really interesting. I learned a lot. I underlined a lot. I made a lot of, I still don't know what this is called in English. I also don't remember what it's called in German. I think, is it called Eselsohren? Dog-eared. I dog-eared part of the books. Anyways, it was really good. And I think this is the kind of book that I'll go back to like in certain times, just to kind of find a quote or like find an idea and stuff like that. And I found so many different interesting things about this. And we had so many interesting conversations based on this book as well, because this was a body read. So I'd recommend it to literally any girly that is in her 20s, because I loved it so much. And I think I'll reread it at one point because I enjoyed it a lot. And it's a non-fiction, like, big recommendation. Then let's go into our fiction books. First we read, or one of the books we read, is Done and Dusted by Leela Sage, and I read it on my Tolino because it's a cowboy romance, and as we know, or as some of us know, I really enjoyed the Chestnut Spring series, yet the same thing happened in Done and Dusted. I don't really remember a lot about what happens in the book. Like, I read the book so quick because it's so catchy and like it's a fun book, you know. I feel like there's a difference between a fun book and a good book and an amazing book and like a bad book. A fun book is just fun, like that's what it is. I read it in the span of I think 2 days because it was fun, but the moment I, you know, marked it as read, I forgot everything that happened. All I remember is she had an accident. She's a writer, so you know, there's a cowboy vibe to the book. So she's a writer, she has an accident, and she can't find the courage to get back on her horse. She's scared. So her brother's best friend is helping her, you know, find her confidence again. And yeah, I think we all know where the story goes from there. Like, they get to know each other even more, like, because she left the little town and came back now as like this big writer and stuff, and you know, they meet again. So that's basically what the book is about. I found it fun. I'd recommend it to like all my romance girlies because I think this is the kind of book that we enjoy. I do see myself as a romance girly, but more of like a heavy romance, you know, where there's like a lot of emotions. I don't know, where they're like going through stuff. She went through stuff. Okay, I'm not good at explaining this. It was a good book. I gave it 3 stars. 3 stars for me. Good book, but I don't remember anything, you know. Fun book, and I don't remember anything. I'm over explaining this. Anyways, so the next book we read was for a vlog, and it was Home Before Dark by Riley Sager. And as we know, I love Riley Sager. I enjoy his books so much. I have another book, I think his newest book, on my TBR right now that I'm so excited to get to. Home Before Dark is a paranormal book. I wouldn't call it a thriller. I more of like a murder mystery. So it's a paranormal murder mystery, and it's based in this like really old house that belonged to her family, and she didn't know that they still owned the house. And there's like a big book that her dad wrote about this house, and she goes back to this house and starts trying to find out like what exactly happened there and stuff, and things are uncovered, and it's really good. I gave it 4 stars. I deducted the star because at some points it felt a little slow and a little boring, and the ending was very, I wouldn't say disappointing, but it wasn't what I expected, if you know what I mean. But I know Riley Sager likes doing these like crazy twists. This twist was not like crazy, but it was good. You get it? I get it. So then we read Powerless by Lauren Roberts. This book, I'm gonna say it again, was recommended. Oh my goodness, I forgot a book. Give me a sec. I literally just forgot a book and I just saw it. I was like, wait, I didn't talk about this book. Okay, so anyways, we read Powerless by Lauren Roberts, and this is a fantasy. So I'll just give you guys the premise because I don't want to say too much about this because it's more fun if you go into it blindly. So there's a child. Imagine Hunger Games vibes. There are 2 groups of people. Ordinaries, no powers. They're being killed. And not ordinaries, so meaning the ones with powers, they're just living life. Then there's 2 princes. The enforcer, the one killing the ordinaries, the future king. going to be king soon. And then there's Peyton, an ordinary that no one knows she's an ordinary. She's an orphan. She's 18 years old and she lives together with her best friend. Who knows she's an ordinary, but all the other people don't know. And basically stuff goes down, stuff happens. Go into it blindly. That's what I did. I didn't know anything about this book except that it has a Hunger Game vibes, and that was what had me sold, like, honestly. It isn't really Hunger Games, but it's the best way to describe it. You know? Does it make sense? I think it makes sense. Gave this one 4 stars. Then we read Ruthless Vows by Rebecca Ross. Y'all, I think in the video I said I'm giving this 3 stars. I'm giving it 2 stars. I really enjoyed Divine Rivals. I don't think about it anymore, and I think it's a 4 stars or 3 stars. This one, I don't know. I didn't get into it. I didn't enjoy it. I didn't want to read it. I didn't want to pick it up. Nothing. It felt a little bit like repetitive. Like, it felt like it was repeating the other story, just switched the roles around. I know it didn't, but that's what it felt like to me. So that was a little bit annoying. But other than that, I just couldn't get into it, and it just wasn't for me. Like, the storyline wasn't for me. I also wasn't that obsessed with Divine Rivals. So I guess I could have known that this is what's gonna happen, but I didn't want to, you know, I wanted to be part of the gang, you know, read a cool book like all my friends did, but I didn't enjoy it, and I'm kind of scared to tell them. So I just like act like I've never read the book because I don't want to like be hated on. But I didn't enjoy this. I gave this 2 stars, and I cannot explain why. I just didn't like it at all. Then we read If We Were Villains, and y'all, this was my favorite book of the month. I gave it 5 stars. Did you guys know this is a debut novel? Like, can you imagine this being a debut novel? Like, this was so good. It was so good. So, we have 6 people. Oliver. We have Meredith. We have Philippa. We have Ren. We have Alexander. We have Richard. And we have James. 7 people. I'm not that good with numbers. 7 people. One of them dies. I'm not going to tell you guys which one. One of them dies. And basically you follow Oliver. Oliver has been in the prison for 10 years. And he just got out, and he's finally telling the detective the real story of what happened. And y'all, did my light just turn off? Okay, see, it just seems like I'm not very prepared today. So we're just gonna keep going like this. So you're following Oliver, and he's explaining how the person of the group died. And you're going through like their time at the school they're at. They're all actors, future actors, and the school, the Delacour School, is basically based on Shakespeare. So all they do is Shakespeare. Like, Shakespeare is their life at that point. And basically what happens is they have like roles. They're always assigned kind of the same kind of role. The villain's always the villain, the hero's always the hero, the psychic's always the psychic, and the whole thing gets switched around. So the one that's always like the villain is all of a sudden they're like the hero or like the psychic and stuff. So their characters kind of slip into them. You know, they kind of start to be their character outside of acting. So even when they're not acting, they're kind of acting like the character they're assigned to. Long story short, things start happening. They start acting up. They start acting weird, and then, you know, stuff happens. Oliver goes to prison, and you find out why Oliver went to prison, and it's good. Loved it. The writing, beautiful, and their conversations are weird because sometimes they don't like. Okay, they speak English, but they speak in like script. Like the script of the plays. Very confusing thing. Like, maybe that's like a theater kid thing. I'm not a theater kid thing, because being on stage and acting is probably one of my biggest nightmares. Like, I don't want to do that. It's scary. Like, respect to anyone that can do that, but they talk in script. It is. I like when I read it for the first time, I was like, in real life, this will be the most annoying thing ever. Like, I could not deal. But in this book, loved it. Like, 5 stars. Y'all, 5 stars. Recommendation. And then lastly, not least, but we read The Alchemist. Gave this 2 stars. Gave it 2 stars because I didn't care for the story. What I loved about this book, writing, beautiful writing, like amazing writing, beautiful little quotes. But this book is repetitive and it's only like 170 pages long. So why are you repeating yourself if you're only 170 pages long? You know, I'm not trying to be mean, but like, why? But I really enjoyed this book. No, that's not true. I really did not enjoy this book. I'm not gonna pick it up ever again. But I think for like starters, because it's a shorter book, it's fun. The quote's cute. There's also like little pictures in here, which are cute, you know. I was thinking of like doing a February TBR, but honestly, y'all, I know I'm not gonna stick to it. So why do it? You know, I feel like I have been in, not a reading slump because, you know, 10 books, but I haven't been like craving to pick up any books. I don't know why, like my TBR is full. I don't know what I'm in the mood for. Okay, I'm in the mood for a thriller right now, but other than that, like I want to just mood read. I have one more book that I have to read for a vlog, and after that I'm just gonna mood read, honestly, because I cannot be bothered to like read a TBR. I don't know, it's just not fun to me because today I feel like reading, I don't know, a contemporary, so I make like a whole contemporary TBR for the next week, and then like I finish my first contemporary book and I'm like, okay, like I'm done with contemporary, I want to read a fantasy, and I want to have like the option of doing that. And by having a TBR, I feel forced to read a certain book, which is annoying, and I don't enjoy like the stress it gives me. But that was my explanation on why I'm not doing a TBR for February. Maybe one day I'll be like, okay, we're doing a TBR for this month, but it's not gonna be February. Maybe March, who knows. Yeah, this is the ending of my video. If you liked it, give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more of me, subscribe to my channel. And yeah, have a good morning, afternoon, or night. Bye guys.